To the Indiana Basketball Weekly Show on the Grueling Truths Sports Network. The Grueling Truth, as always, is powered by betting.net. And betting.net is your best bet for finding the online casino or sportsbook that's right for you. Make sure you check them out at betting.net. I'm your co-host for the Indiana Basketball Show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my other co-host, 1981 national champion, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Good. Well, great basketball game. Very not upset, just horrendously disappointed for the coaching staff and the players. It just was as tough a win as I've seen IU had to lose in the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
They didn't have to lose it. They did lose. So
yeah, and they played well. Trace Jackson Davis was awesome today. My question to you, Steve, is back in 1981, how did Coach Knight defend Jordan Bohannon?
Probably not as.
He's been there forever, right? I mean, I'm sure you played against him.
I don't know that. I mean, I think that there would be a one-on-one on Bohannon, and just Knight would have defended him more with help than with.
Oh, Steve, you didn't get my joke. Jordan Bohannon's been there so long, you played against him.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, come on. That was funny. Because he does seem like he's been there forever. It did bother me the way they acted like he meant to bank the shot in. The way they talked, Bill Rafferty, look at the onions on him. He just threw it up.
You can't, and that's one of those things that every kid in their backyard with a basketball and a hoop dreams about doing, and there was his 15 seconds of fame right there. It came for him at that time, and what a crushing shot. I mean, the odds of that shot going in are slim and none at best. And, that's a lottery shot.
I would like to bring up the fact that I want to bet with +6 on Caesars Sportsbook in the Indiana Hoosiers. If you want to bet the championship game tomorrow or any games during March Madness, make sure you check out Caesars Sportsbook. The link is in the description of the video. Joe says, shitty way to lose a game. Agreed, Joe. Steve Ramsey says, howdy, Mike and Steve. CJD Simone, our resident Jets fan, says, go Mike Good. I like him. That was a good response there, don't you think, Steve?
They ignored me, so that's fine.
He's a Jets fan. He doesn't know anything about basketball or quarterbacks. When you talk about the Jets.
In 1969, I was a Jets fan too.
Hey, in 1969, I was just born. All right, let's look at the stats. The stat that stands out to me, 3-pointers, Iowa 14 for 32. Indiana 5 for 19. Indiana, especially at the end of the game, inside of that 5-minute mark, had multiple shots at wide open threes. Miller Kopp, Xavier Johnson. Yeah, they didn't make the shots. The difference was at the end of the game, Iowa did. But my takeaway from this may be a little different than most. I think, and we saw it last year with Iowa when they played the 3 or 4 games to win the Big Ten championship and then got beat by Illinois Chicago early in the tournament. I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing as long as we get in the tournament, which I don't think is a guarantee right now, but I think there's a high probability of it, Steve.
Well, in terms of the 3-point shooting, I mean, we knew all along that this was Iowa's forte. They were not an inside team, and we definitely are an inside team. And I thought the way the game started, we had good perimeter defense, and we were dumping the ball inside every time. And we were making things happen, and we were scoring pretty much at will pretty easily. We were getting good buckets. I think they've missed a fair amount of calls from our guys getting pounded a little bit inside. But that's basketball. I'm not going to complain about that in any way, shape, or form. But the game was under control. We were kind of controlling the tempo. And they came out pretty well stone cold at the very beginning of the game. That's what got us up by the 10 points real quickly. I knew, even my wife watching the game with me, knew that wasn't going to last.
Yeah, because I was going to start making shots.
I was going to start hitting threes at some point in time.
And it was kind of the way the game went. IU would get up 10 or 12. Iowa, it seemed like in just seconds, would have it back down to 2. Yeah. Indiana would push it back out. Steve Ramsey says, watching number 2 versus 3 play in the SEC tournament, does this have huge implications on the inside? I think right now every game that's played has huge implications.
Yeah, well, let's finish talking about this game before we
are.
get
I just
into the
answered his
seeding and
question.
things like that. Steve, hang on there, buddy. We'll get to that because we definitely have feelings about where this leaves Indiana, things like that. But let's cover this game and talk about it first. So I felt pretty comfortable that as long as we stayed with our game plan and we did that for virtually the entire first half, and we took a lead into the halftime situation. And I thought that we controlled everything now. And I told Tia, my wife, again, I said, what we've got to do, and if it's ever been lectured before, we have got to own this first 5 minutes of this second half. We have got to establish our inside game again. We got to start pushing them into a little bit of foul trouble, if not worried about getting a player out of the game as much as getting ourselves on the line every time they foul us. And we were a little slow, a little bit over deliberate about doing that. But that's just the nature of, they were not challenging us as much inside as we needed to be. And then, we started, they drew it back in as we know they can do. You got 3-point shooters like that. You got as many as they've got. You're you're able to pop 3 threes in about a minute, coming down. If we're not hitting the inside shot or we're getting harassed inside, and all of a sudden, while we're scoring, even if we're scoring twos, they're scoring at threes. It's deficit, basketball. You don't want to play deficit basketball with that much time on the clock. You get to a point in time on the clock, you can say, okay, we're up by 10 with 3 minutes to go. All we got to do is not let them outscore us by more than 1 point a game. And we didn't get there. And then we had this run where things got kind of helter-skelter with about a minute and a half to go. We had plenty of opportunity to just pull the ball out, run time off the clock. Instead, we made some probably ill-advised shots, although, Miller Kopp had just come off a drain in 2 big threes, and he had a wide-open 3 there on the rebound. He had the long rebound. And I can't say it was a bad shot, probably just an ill-timed shot. And there's a difference. There's a difference between a bad shot and an ill-timed shot. It would have been a better time for him just to pull it out and say, we got a 20-second reset on the rebound. Let's run another 20 seconds off the clock. Let's dump it back inside. Let's get 2 sure points, and let's see if we can get maybe on the line and get 3 that way and keep doing with the bread and butter that we got there.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Steve.
But hindsight's always 20/20.
Keegan Murray is a hell of a basketball player.
Oh, God. I don't know that I've seen a player better than him play this year. Now, most of my focus has been on the Big Ten this year, so I can't say I've watched a lot of college ball outside the Big Ten. I've watched enough, especially with UCLA being out here in Los Angeles, but I don't know that I've seen a better player than him. He's a bona fide star ready to go join the NBA and make a difference to a basketball team immediately.
Yeah, how about this? When you see him, I don't know if he's the best player in the Big Ten. If he's not, I don't know.
I don't know who'd be better.
But, I mean, I don't know if there's anybody with the style of play the NBA has nowadays. I don't know that there's anybody more NBA ready
to play NBA basketball than he is right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he was dominant. I mean, 11 for 17 from the field, 8 for 10 from three-point range. And this was similar to yesterday, where yesterday the Hoosiers won. But when you have 2 high-quality teams playing and playing at the level they're playing at, it's just going to come down to who's got the ball last and if they can make that shot. Indiana, 85.7% from free throw or from the free throw line.
Outstanding. Made free throws the whole tournament.
Yeah, Iowa, 83.3. The killer's the three-point stat, but I mean,
and what did we shoot from three-point land? We shot what?
26%.
What were we?
26%.
We were on 26%. Okay.
They were 43.8.
Yeah, 43.8. Yeah.
And that 43.8 is with missing probably their first 5.
I think
so they were probably
we outshot them from 2-point land, didn't we? We were just a little bit better than them from 2-point land.
Overall field goals, we were 30 to 28, so it'd be 25. It was 25 to 14 from 2-point land. I mean, most of their points, you got 14 3-pointers. That's hard to be able to overcome. But Trace Jackson Davis today, and really this entire tournament, has looked more like an NBA-ready player.
Well, I don't know about that because I still think he lacks an outside jump shot, but he looked like a player who probably should have been on first team Big Ten, All Big Ten, as opposed to second team All Big Ten. I'd give that. I don't know that I'd say
In
enhance
my
his
defense,
stature?
I think it enhances his stature because I think
Okay.
that we saw him attack and play through contact, which we haven't done before. I still don't think that I have a hard time seeing him going in the first round, which hopefully he'll come back for another year because I think next year, if he leads this into the momentum, and they said in practice he makes the shots, but in the games he's a little bit shy of taking the shots. But
Yeah.
I mean, if he gets to the point where he can knock down a 15 or 20 footer and he comes back, IU could end up in the Final Four because I think he's that dominant of a player inside. If he gets the outside game to go with it, they're in really good shape. The guy that stands out to me still is Parker Stewart. I mean, this team played really well, but this was Parker Stewart's third straight game where he did not shoot the ball well. He was 1 for 5 field goal range, 0 for 2 3-pointers. Didn't play that well there, Steve, and that has to be a concern going into March Madness because you can't be starting a guy that is this cold right now. He's really got to start to contribute a little bit more.
Yeah, Mike. What we don't know, and what you, and that's a good observation on your point. Definitely, what we don't know is what the mesh is like of these 5 guys that are starting. Parker Stewart may just be a good fit with the other 4 players, and Mike just says, I got some camaraderie here. I got some unity in this group, this unit, and I don't want to break this unit up because when this unit plays together, they accomplish things. Players make contributions in other ways other than just putting stats on the board. You know that better than anybody. And I don't know the answer to that. It seems because every time we look at the stat sheet for Parker, it's kind of very bland. But Mike is stuck with this unit for most of the season, and they have, you know, elevated their performance. And the attitude kind of becomes at some point in this: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I don't know if pulling Parker out of that lineup helps that team or not. I
I'm
think
not talking about pulling him out of lineup. I'm talking about him starting to make some shots because actually,
but
in Parker's defense, Trey Galloway came in and played basically his other minutes and put up
yeah,
the same 1 for 5. He was 0 for 3. Neither one of them played well. So I'm not saying that
yeah,
Parker shouldn't have started. I'm just saying if this team wants to win in March, I think we know
they've
what we're
got to
getting
get some
from.
production. Yeah,
We know what Trace and Race and Xavier are going to do.
yeah.
Miller Kopp and Parker Stewart have to step up, carry a little bit more of the load.
Well,
Today, the bench scored a total of what? 3, 5, like 5 points off the bench. Yeah,
yeah, and
Tamir Bates hit the big 3 at the end of the first half. Galloway didn't play that well. Rob Fennessy didn't score, but I thought Rob Fennessy played pretty well. I mean, he controlled the
he did his
offense.
job. Yeah, he handled the
And what
ball.
we saw in the game, in the last game, when Xavier Johnson got in foul trouble, kind of the wheels fell off for when he was out. That didn't happen today. Rob Fennessy, I thought, you can't look at the stat line with him. He did have 3 assists in 17 minutes. He had 3 steals. Defensively and running the offense, I thought for the 17 minutes in that he played really well.
Sure, yeah, and he's a tremendous asset to have back healthy, to go alongside Xavier right there. And we've seen a lot more of playing those 2 together. And I don't know that that's not by far our best guard combination in crunch time in the game. You've got 2 solid ball handlers that are not going to make a lot of dumb mistakes.
And they played together yesterday.
They played together well, yeah. And they played
and
well
Rob ran
together.
the point, and Xavier was the shooting guard. We have a comment here. David Burnworth, nice seeing Iowa come back and win. David, this is the Indiana basketball show, not the Iowa basketball
That's all right.
show.
It was a great game, David. That's okay. I mean, I take nothing away from Iowa. They hung in there with Indiana's inside toughness and played great basketball. They're a very well coached basketball team. They're very spread out talent wise. They don't have. I mean, they got Keegan Murray obviously, but other than that, it's a bunch of guys that play well together and they've got a common goal. And I don't. I have no problem with Iowa moving on. I mean, other than the fact that I'm a diehard IU fan. I'm a former player. And I really was rooting for my team. I'll tell you the thing, Mike, what was so fun for the last 3 days, and I know you felt it too, was just the fun of having a team that's being competitive.
Yeah, it felt like it used to.
It felt like the old days, exactly, when you were excited about watching IU, and watching them play because they had a chance to win. They were winning games and moving on. And I hope they get the opportunity. I'm sure they will carry that into the tournament. But back to this game. How many shots did Miller Kopp take?
I think it was 5.
That's all?
Yeah, I
He
think
had
so.
to take more than 5.
He probably did. I just
He had to be double digits in shots.
I lost my box score, Steve. You can't ask me a question like that. I lose the box score. I clicked the wrong damn button and it screwed me up. I mean, David coming on and saying he was glad to see Iowa win, just it shook me to my core.
It's okay, David. I'm glad to see a great basketball team that involved Indiana.
Oh, David's a good guy too. I know David. He's a high school football writer. He's actually very good.
Yeah, I have no problem with it.
He was just cheering for the wrong team today. It happens sometimes. Let's see. Who did you want? Miller Kopp?
Yeah.
Miller Kopp shot the ball 11 times. Unfortunately, he made it twice.
Well, but and the point I wanted to make there is that Miller's getting involved in the offense, and I think that's critical because I think Miller's the kind of player who can get real streaky on you and can drill 3 or 4 threes on you if he gets that streak going. He drilled 2 big ones toward the end of the game, and I thought really elevated IU's spirit and intensity level just by hitting those 2 threes. And so I again, stats wise, it wasn't the big thing in this game. I thought that Trace and Keegan Murray neutralized each other basically. Although I think that Keegan shot more daggers than Trace did. His threes were just daggers to us. But we knew they were coming. It's not like it's not like the final shot where he banks it off the wall from 40 feet, 50 feet. Yeah. That's an out the rear end shot.
Yeah,
what Keegan Murray did was what we expected him to do, and what Trace did was what we know and loved and expected Trace to be able to do, and they did it. I said right off the bat, Indiana, if they do not dump the ball inside every single time they come down the court, they're going to lose this game. And 99.9% of the time, they did. They took it down inside, and then they kicked out. And the threes that we missed were wide open threes. Like I said, we didn't take a bad shot. Just at the end, we took a couple of ill-advised shots, ill-timed shots. That's all. But other than that, to have this game come down to just a one possession, another 3, or he doesn't bank that in, we're going to overtime most likely. And then you never know what's going to happen when you can put 5 minutes more on the clock and not have to win it in the last 10 seconds of a ball game. So all in all, Indiana fans should be very happy with this basketball club, the progress it's made, the showing it put in the Big Ten tournament. I think that they have definitely elevated themselves past. What I think is important is they have elevated themselves past teams in the Big Ten. I think they moved ahead of Rutgers, truthfully.
Yeah, I think they should have.
I think moved ahead of Michigan. And right now Rutgers and Michigan are on the bubble, one of the bubble teams, either last 4 in or last 4 out.
Yeah, I'm looking at some bracketology right now, which has Rutgers playing Xavier in a first 4 game, and Rutgers is a 12 seed.
Yeah.
And this same one has Indiana as an 11 seed playing Colorado State and San Diego. When we look at the tournament,
down there to that game.
Yeah, there you go. I could actually probably get you credentials as long as you really want to go. But I think the concern here now is, do the Hoosiers get in the tournament? I think everybody was excited, thought this was a done deal. There's been some things that happened over the last 24 hours, as there always is, that I think makes this a little bit more tenuous. You got things like in the Atlantic 10. You got Davidson, who I think will make the tournament, whether they win that tournament or not. But you've got Richmond and Dayton there. And Dayton is a team that's won 22 games. They've been red hot. They beat Kansas earlier in the season. So if Dayton was to beat Davidson, that probably takes one of those bubble spots away. You got Virginia Tech and the ACC, who are kind of like IU. They were a good team, but they just couldn't put it together. They put it together. They beat Notre Dame. They beat North Carolina. Now they're playing Duke in the ACC finals. If Virginia Tech gets a win there, that's an issue. And then you get Texas A&M, kind of the same thing. Good team, decent record. but they're into the conversation now because, they won a big game. They're still alive in the SEC tournament. So I don't think people should just go ahead and assume this is a done deal right now,
No,
Steve.
no, they don't. And there are a couple things here. They put a stat up on the screen that I've got the game on in the background of my office as we're doing the show. The second game now, the Purdue Michigan State game. But they put in of the number one seeds, and there's a multitude already of number one seeds that have been knocked out of their conference tournaments. Now, what that breeds is what the NCAA calls and what the bracketology guys call are what's called seed stealers. And basically what that is if your number one seed, who's pretty much the lock, the team in a mid-conference, a mid-major, or a smaller conference where you generally only expect one team to come out of those conferences, and it's the best team, the team that wins that conference championship gets the automatic bid. When that team gets knocked out early, like Illinois did in the Big Ten, now it's going to come down to two teams that were already going to be in the tournament anyway for the Big Ten tournament one way or another. I think Michigan State's solidly in the tournament too. I don't think that they're a fear. So
yeah, they're solidly in. I don't think they were solidly in until these two tournament wins though.
So now what you have to hope for is that we don't have a lot more upsets out of these mid majors where the number one seed teams don't win their conference championships, or you end up with these seed stealers where they've got to give the automatic bid to the team that wins the conference championship, and then the best team in that conference. Now you got to find a hole for them if you're going to put them in, or you're going to have to catch the crap for eliminating a mid major team that's played well all year, like a Davidson or say a Vermont, which has gone ape crap bananas up in the Northeast and played, and you've got that situation. That's the only thing that can really hurt Indiana is if these seed stealers start jumping in. But I think the good thing that Indiana did, more important than anything, is they passed some teams in the Big Ten. So they're not the ninth team in the Big Ten trying to get in the tournament right now.
Yeah, I think Michigan, that's Rutgers
Michigan
or
and Rutgers. Yeah, Rutgers and Michigan are below. I think that puts Indiana in. I think they'll take 7 teams from the Big Ten easily. I think that's a no-brainer. If there are 7 spots available that the seed sealers don't take. Other than that, I think if I was Rutgers and Michigan, I'd be a lot more nervous than I was if I was Indiana. I think Indiana can go to sleep tonight. I'm not sure I'd wake up with a hangover in the morning. I'd want to be a little crisp and sharp, and get ready to see. Just there's going to be a little pins and needles, definitely, just because you never know what these guys are thinking and what they're doing.
Yeah, and the one that stands out to me, and that's why I brought it up, is the Davidson situation, because Davidson's a team that's like 26-5. They beat Alabama at Alabama back in December.
Right, but they're projected. They haven't played yet, have they?
They are playing right now. They're going to win, but
so if they win, then it's a no-brainer because they're the number one team.
But the problem is you've got Dayton sitting there, and Dayton plays Richmond today. Dayton against Davidson could be a highly competitive game because Dayton has played really well over the last half of the season. And if you remember, that was a team that was undefeated 2 years ago. So if Dayton was to beat Davidson, my concern is Dayton gets in, Davidson's still in, one team has to be dropped off.
Right. So, that's a call the NCAA is going to. Then you've got Dayton, Davidson, and Indiana, say, or Dayton, Davidson, and Michigan, or maybe the ACC's got teams on the bubble. Remember, we're not the only conference with teams on the bubble either.
I know, but ours are the only ones I care about. So, I mean, that's why I compare it. The thing is this.
That's like why you don't like NASCAR.
It's like Virginia Tech. If Virginia Tech beats Duke, Virginia Tech's automatically in. They might be in anyways, but I don't think that it is guaranteed. So then you have to put Indiana's resume up against Virginia Tech's. The one good thing is I think the Big Ten from top to bottom has been a lot better than the ACC this year. So definitely. I think, anytime Notre Dame's
been more consistent and better basketball top to bottom.
Yeah.
No doubt. Yeah.
So
I think our 7th seed is much better than ACC's 7th seed.
I don't know who the SEC's 7th seed is.
I don't either, but I guarantee you ours is better.
Well, I don't know because did you see Vanderbilt as the 11th seed pull a couple upsets, almost beat Kentucky because they were in a situation where they were like a 500 team this year, but they got like two or three players back right before the conference tournament and
Yeah.
it beat some people. But I
And
can't
my
believe they just
answer to
run up
that is
Vanderbilt.
almost only counts in hand grenades and
Well, no, they
jarts
won because they
and
upset
horseshoes.
somebody
Oh,
the
it's
other
good,
day. I
almost
don't
as good in
recall.
horseshoes too.
I'm
Almost
not
is probably
scared.
good in curling now
I
and
don't know.
shuttlecock.
Watch your language.
Shuttlecock is a game.
No. Now, next thing you'd be talking about Kofi Cockburn again.
Oh, it is cockburn.
It's Coburn.
Then drop the K.
But then wouldn't it still look like Cockburn?
Drop the C. Just go Coburn.
That's the way it's supposed to
All
be.
right, let's get back to.
Hold on. We got Steve Ramsey says the Hoosiers are in the tournament. And he also says he has a weird feeling that Coach K at Duke will get his final championships. There's I don't think
Duke
there's
is
any
not
way that
that good.
happens. I don't think that happens unless I just haven't seen Duke where I think they're consistent enough to do that.
Oh, see,
Now
Joe
come
Michael.
on, Joe.
No. Joe, thanks. I had that on tape and was going to watch that, and you just blew it. What an idiot partner I have on the NASCAR show.
Yeah.
Gee, many police officers. No wonder they can't solve crimes.
He's a coroner. He just likes to kill stuff or look
Yeah,
at
well,
yeah. He just killed your dreams the rest of the
he
day.
probably walks up to him and says, "Sir, are you dead?" Christmas.
If they don't answer, they're dead. If they
don't answer, they're dead.
Oh
Good
hell!
God! So
All
Ryan
right.
Blaney on the poll. Tell me
Steve
where
thought
Chase
that was
Elliott
funny.
is now, Joe. Go ahead and tell me where Elliott qualified. Let's get back to basketball. Well, Joe's
All right.
trying to figure that out.
Steve thought it was funny, and also I would like to wish Steve that I think he's got to have shoulder surgery on a torn rotator cuff. So
good luck with that, buddy.
All right, Steve. Anything else we want to talk about before we wrap it up? And remember, guys, it's not just sports betting. Betting.net compares the best online casinos. Sit back, relax, and play the top online slots, poker, and table games. Was that dramatic if I said it slower?
I'm staying on until 19th. He qualified 19th. Great. Super.
You're taying on? Did you say you're taying on?
No, I'm staying on until I find out where Elliott qualified.
Well, he's 19.
Now I don't have to watch that. I can go watch.
Here, Steve Ramsey said it sucks. I think he's talking about Joe and what Joe just did to you.
Yeah, I know.
Even though I think he's talking about
when have you ever seen a cop do a good thing lately? I just swear to God.
Not since they took off the rookies.
Not since they defunded them. Let's get back to funding police so we can get real policemen back in position.
Yeah, then we could just get Joe out of there. Yeah, I know. Come on.
Not coroners being detectives.
But see, V&V is so small that if you are like in the police force, you are the police force and the coroner.
I see Joe running around thinking he's Quincy M.E. Remember that with Jack Cleveland?
I remember it. I bet that Joe is so young he doesn't remember. I bet Joe doesn't even remember.
Let's get back to basketball.
And remember this. Tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, myself, Steve, and Dan Kornhauser will be here on the NCAA
And Dan's not related to Tony Kornhauser, so don't expect any greatness out of that.
Well, I didn't think Tony Kornhauser was great. So.
Oh, I think he's pretty good.
I think he sucks.
He's good looking.
Tony Kornhauser?
Yeah.
You're better looking than Tony Kornhauser.
No, I'm better looking.
Yeah, you are.
The only person we talked about this earlier. The only person I'm better looking than is Larry Bird. But let's drop it.
All right, good show. Have a great week.
Fans,
thanks for your weekly shows. Thank you, Steve, for commenting. Go ahead, Steve.
The only thing I want Indiana fans to do is rest easy. I'm confident Indiana's going to dance. And I'm more confident that they are than they're not. I don't think that. I think it's a slim and none chance. A lot of things would have to happen between now and selection and tomorrow. As soon as the Big Ten game's over, that's usually the last game before the committee makes its final picks. That's usually the last.
Yeah, I think right now we're 80-20 in.
80-20 in. I would say at least that's a conservative number. I think it's just a matter of what seed we get and where we go. If I was Rutgers and Michigan right now, I would be having a much more sleepless night than I would be
Put it like this: I think out
from
of Rutgers,
Indiana.
Michigan, and Indiana, one of them is not going to make the tournament.
And you know,
Possibly
I,
two, but
I
one
think
for sure.
I think we'd be remiss too if we also didn't just congratulate Mike and his coaching staff on really getting this team ready to play tournament basketball. And I think that you know, that says a lot for having a guy who's played in this program, who knows what the expectations are from the fan base, from the player base, from everybody, and his staff got this team prepared to play. I thought in the last 3 games, Indiana played as well to its what I would say was a prescribed game plan to make this team win. If they carry that through to the NCAA tournament and they get in and they carry that through, I think this is a team that could find itself playing for an opportunity to make the Sweet 16 come next Saturday or Sunday. You know, depending on how the draw goes and everything.
All right, Steve, we're going to go ahead. We're going to wrap it up. Make sure you check out betting.net. Also, check out Caesars Sportsbook as our top provider. It's the one we recommend during this show. Make sure you check them out in the link description below. All right, you can follow Steve Risley at SRisley34. You can follow me at Grueling Truth. But until tomorrow night for the NCAA Selection Pick'em Show, I'm Mike Goodpaster. That's Steve Risley. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.